Okay, my beautiful diamonds and my Teletubbies, we're back with part 2 of how marrying for money can backfire. A man is not a plan, and the dangers of marrying for financial gain. I'm going to continue with the final part of other women who are so much more educated in this area than I am.
To prioritize finding a good man who's going to be a great husband who you can have kids with, because our biological clock is ticking. And so people are pressuring young women to find that man in college, find that man in your 20s, get married, make sure you start having babies by your 30s. And so it feels like we are racing the clock all the time. And so when your boyfriend of 2 years says, I'm moving across the country, want to come with me, you feel like you have to support him. But I urge you to ask yourself this. If I was the person moving across the country, would he follow me? If the answer is no, then that tells you a lot about your partner and the dynamics of your relationship.
I just got on the phone with one of my girlfriends, and I just love a long, good girl chat. But one of the things we were talking about is how a man is not the plan. I don't think you guys hear that enough. It's okay to date well, it's okay to marry well, but a man is not the plan. If that man was to get up and leave you tomorrow, what do you have? That's what you need to be worried about, and that's what you need to be focused on before you start dating a man with money. Always have your own purpose, but never, ever give anyone the chance to leave you high and dry and you're figuring out what to do next. If you cannot leave the relationship still living like how you was living when you were with that man, then you need to do some reevaluating.
A man is not a plan. A man is not your future. A man is not a backup plan that you can rely on for the rest of your days. You cannot wait for a provider man to spend all the money on you. You cannot wait for a man to provide a roof over your head, lets you move into his place. A man is not a backup plan. Because if that man decides to run away with the 10 years younger sexy neighbor, you are left with nothing. Why? Because you were dependent on him to create the life that you were dreaming of rather than building it yourself. Even though he's given you the house, even though you have monthly allowances, maybe you have your dream car, it's never truly yours because you were dependent on him in the first place to provide it for you. So here's what you should do instead. I'm not saying you shouldn't get a man that provides for you. Hell yeah, you should get a man that should provide for you, but at the same time, have a backup plan yourself. Make your own money. Have your own resources. Because if that man, God forbid, would run away with his sexy secretary, you can stand on your own 2 feet and not even flinch.
A man is not a plan, ladies. And while I'm driving here to pick up the woman, my mother, who taught me this, she's been in Dana-Farber Cancer Institute battling ovarian cancer and had a complication, and she is one tough mother. Let me say that. But back to her favorite expression, a man is not a plan. She was abused and abandoned, and she drilled that into my head. And the good news for her is she got an education back in the 50s. She had a very stable career. You know, she didn't make a ton. She was a teacher, but it was stable and consistent, and she was able to live a good life. She's still living a good life. She's been living off of a pension for about 22 years, and she has no worries because that pension's coming in each and every month. But she has always known exactly what is going on with her money and her life. She, although has been married, she never relinquished control or insights into her financial situation. She didn't rely on that man for a plan. In fact, the other day I was speaking to a woman, and we were chatting. She got to know me, I got to know her. She asked what I did. I told her I was a retire mentor, which meant that I help women over the age of 50 live a better, more intentional, and financially secure life in retirement. And she was like, whoa, that's a mouthful. My husband does all that. And I was like, you know what? You probably want to get more involved. At least know what's going on, because the likelihood is you're going to outlive him, according to industry stats. And you need to know what that man's plan is for the two of you. And then you can even go further and educate yourself to make sure that man's plan is on target, right? Yeah, you trust your spouse. I trust my significant other. But you need to make sure that that plan is in alignment with your needs as well. And you want to make sure that your interests are being served. So, yeah, it's great. Have a great relationship. Have a man. Have a plan. But make sure you know what that plan is all about and how it's going to protect you and your family, those you love. And if you outlive your spouse, you outlive that man, the plan works for you too and your well-being. So, ladies, get educated.
Ladies, listen up. I'm going to tell you why the plan of marrying a rich dude and having him support you and your children financially is a big mistake. There was a time where I was in between jobs. So I was actually going to the exercise classes at like 10 a.m., where people that don't have real jobs go to. And I would see these mothers coming after they've dropped off their kid to school with, Ferraris, Porsches, just like decked out in Birkins that they would bring to like the gym, right? They didn't work and their husbands were all rich. And I used to envy these women sort of because I was like, wow, God, it must be nice to have someone take care of you like that and not have to work and be able to go to Barry's boot camp at 10 a.m. But after I got to know them, I realized that every single one of them was miserable in their own way, shape, or form. Every single one, no exception. There was not one that didn't have some sort of complaint about their husband. And it wasn't just like a complaint like, oh, he leaves the toilet seat up or something minor like that. It was major complaints like, he doesn't even know I'm alive. I think he's cheating on me. He's never around. He's always at work. He's very, very controlling. He tells me what I can and cannot buy. Or simply, he just doesn't have time for me. And these are very, very common in relationships where the man is super rich and is making all the money because let's face it, if he is making a lot of money, that probably means that he has to work very, very hard. And that leaves very little for you. So you're always going to be unfulfilled. And the reason that you're unfulfilled in these relationships is because you don't have anything outside of him or the children to wake up for. Purpose is so important in life. And your purpose has to be different than your children or your husband. Your purpose has to be something that is about you, that makes you tick. And unless you have something like that in your life, whether you're working or volunteering or doing anything else like that that gives you a sense of purpose, you're always going to be unfulfilled. Being the wife of a rich dude is not it. It's not going to make you happy unless you have something for yourself that you can do. Trust me, I've seen it with my own eyes.
Even if things don't turn abusive, being financially dependent can start to eat away at your sense of self. You start second-guessing your worth. You feel guilty about buying things. You feel like you can't make decisions without approval. You feel stuck, even if the relationship isn't technically bad. You feel like you owe someone your time, your energy, your body, just because they pay the bills. Money is tied to freedom. When you don't have it, your options shrink. And when your options shrink, it's a lot easier to stay in situations that don't serve you, or worse, stay in situations that harm you. According to the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence, 94 to 99% of domestic violence survivors also experience financial abuse. It's one of the main reasons people stay in toxic or unsafe relationships. They simply cannot afford to leave. Another study found that women who didn't have access to their own money were significantly less likely to leave unhealthy marriages, even when they wanted to. And it's not just extreme cases. Even in everyday situations, being financially dependent can leave people feeling stuck, voiceless, or invisible. For decades, generations really, women were told that marriage was the ultimate plan. You don't need to worry about money, just get a good man. And honestly, that used to be the only option. Women weren't allowed to even open their own bank accounts until the 1970s in some countries. So of course, marriage became the pathway to security. But now we have choices, and yet the old narrative still lingers in pop culture, in music, in social media. We see influencers saying, why work when you can just marry up? But here's the thing, when you hand over your power in exchange for comfort, it's no longer your life. You're just living on someone else's dime, and that means living by someone else's rule. Being able to take care of yourself financially doesn't mean you don't need anyone. It just means that you don't have to stay with anyone out of fear. You get to choose who you love, not rely on them for survival. You can build with someone, not cling to them as your only shot at stability. And honestly, that is attractive, knowing your worth. Being able to contribute, being in a relationship because you want to be and not because you have to. It's not about paying 50-50 on dinner sometimes. It's about having the skills, the mindset and the independence to stand on your own 2 feet if you need to. And the message here isn't to never accept help or to never let a man provide. That's not what this is about. It's about not building your entire life around someone else's income. It's about not making a man your financial plan, because life is unpredictable. Relationships end, people change, circumstances shift. And if you've put all your eggs in one basket, no savings, no skills, no career, no education, the fall hurts so much harder. A man can love you, he can support you, he can want to provide for you, but he should never be your entire plan, because the best relationships are built on choice, not survival. Love should feel like freedom, not debt. And financial independence is one of the most important forms of self-love you can cultivate. So whether you're single, you're dating, you're married, build a life that's yours. Let love be the bonus and not the bailout, because we all deserve so much more. Thanks for watching today's video.
That was an excellent video, and I felt that it was really a necessity for me to share this with the ladies out there who are buying into, when you hear these men on social media saying, get a man who's going to pay your bills, a man who's going to take care of you. Don't go with no man who's doing 50-50. You're supposed to financially depend on this man. You know, and that's what they're kind of hoping for. And like I said, please, use more than just your physical eye. Always pray to God for wisdom and insight, because you may become financially dependent. And I hate that word. The only man that I want to depend on is spoken of at Isaiah chapter 54, verse 5, where Jesus Christ says, he is my real husband. You see, a lot of these men want you to become dependent because they think all women are stuck on stupid. Honey, I'm far from it. And I can see straight through all of your Maybelline. I can see what they're doing. At the same time, if you have a man, I'm a 50-50 girl or a 70-30, depending on his ego. But I will be stepping up to contribute something. Because I know you may become financially dependent on this partner, and that's nothing but a recipe for disaster. And you know, marrying for money, it can backfire in so many ways. Let's think about prenuptial agreements. You may be required to sign a prenup that limits your financial rights. And what about the financial disagreements? You may have disagreements about how to manage finances and how to manage the money. And what about infidelity or emotional affairs? When you lack money, he gets to do what the hell he wants. The lack of emotional intimacy, you know, he's not getting that. It's just a problem. It's a disaster. And then when you think about divorce, the divorce rate is like over 50% now. And when you combine the divorce rate with the separation rate, it's like 90%. Your relationship may end in divorce, which can be costly and emotionally draining. Love is not something that can be bought or sold. When you marry someone for love, you're investing in a relationship that's based on mutual respect, trust, and communication. You know, and I don't even think it's safe to marry for love. Oh, God, no. Well, whatever, child. Because the Bible already prophesied that the love is going to just die out eventually. So, marrying for financial gain, it may seem like an attractive option, but it can lead to a lifetime of unhappiness and financial ruin. So instead of prioritizing wealth, why not focus on building meaningful relationships based on respect, trust, love, and as adult grown-ups, we're supposed to carry ourselves financially. That's what being an adult is all about. And like I said, I listened to this Yada Awakening. He has a lot of things that he knows how to tickle women's ears. And you have a lot of these men out here who know how to play this game, and they play it well. But you're not going to fool this girl here. And there are so many other women who are waking up. You have no idea how happy I am feeling. I am feeling so, oh my God. I can't even, there's not words that can express how happy I'm feeling right now and elated that there are so many women who are finally waking up. They're waking up. And it's making me such a happy camper. Now let me share with you some other people's comments. Men want to put us down to lift themselves up. They want us to quit our jobs, putting our financial security on the line to devote ourselves fully to housework and childcare, free labor pretty much. They don't work for free. Why should we? So they don't want to have to worry about it. And they want to focus on their own financial success. And they'll make sure we're fully dependent. They're going to try to do that, get you fully dependent on them so you can never break away. Please don't fall into this trap. Please stay strong. Another person says marrying for love is stupid too. A friend married for love. She quit everything. She quit her job, her city she left, her stability, and her retirement plan. She moved to another state to be with him, and she lives as a housewife. If she needs money, this is another part that I couldn't be able to stomach. Anytime she needs money, she has to ask her useless husband. He works as an independent worker, no salary, no insurance, no benefits. He also spends all the money, so there's no savings. If they get divorced, there's nothing to split. No house, no money, no anything. When she realizes that she's getting older, and you know once you start getting older and your body starts to change and your looks start to change, honey, you know how that works. Once she starts to realize that she's getting older and she's not going to receive money from a retirement plan, it'll be too late by then. The only good thing is that they can't have children. Thank you, Jesus. They can't have children, so at least children won't be left to live in poverty. She and her husband told me that I should get married and I should have kids. I told them, hell no. I love my freedom, and I don't want a useless husband or a useless boyfriend. No, thank you. I want a job, and I want to travel around the world. Another person says, I can see the dangers of marrying for money, but marrying for love is pretty stupid too. I think we should get rid of marriage altogether, this person says. Men should be charged for the sex that they want. I don't believe that they should get smecks for free. That was the biggest scam against women. It doesn't make you a smecks worker. It makes you someone who has common sense. Well, I already made a video about that. Anytime a man, you just meeting him and you're dating him and he wants to push up on you asking for your body, to share your body. Oh, no, son. Okay, yeah. So what are you going to do for me financially? I mean, really? And am I being a smecks worker or a 304? No, honey, I'm a teacher. I'm educating you. I'm teaching you that a man is supposed to provide. It's obvious that you haven't figured that part out yet. So I'm schooling you. It has nothing to be with being a 304. So in closing, my beautiful diamonds, I want you to keep in mind that it may seem like an attractive option, but marrying for money, it can lead to so much. It can lead to a lifetime of unhappiness, resentment, and even financial ruin. Now, I want to show you some groups that are on Facebook. And you have a lot of women who are stuck in these marriages because they say, I can't afford to leave. Now, these are some Facebook support groups for married women who are miserable. You have Wives of Addicts support group, Married but Living Single, Runaway Husbands Community, Sexless Marriage Support for Women Believers in God, My Loveless Marriage, Deadly Secrets and Love, and Deadly Secrets and Love. Here we go. Wives of Alcoholics, and she's trapped to stay with all the abuse. Wives of Drug Addicts and Alcoholics. Married to an Alcoholic. Infidelity Support Group. Wives of Drug Addicts and Alcoholics. Infidelity Support Zoom Meetings. Married but Frustrated. Not Happy at All. Catching Cheaters / Infidelity Support Groups. And then I want you to check these Twisted Crimes, that's on YouTube, along with Viral Crimes on YouTube. Now, if you have a Facebook account, just check out those support groups and read all of the misery and look at how many women are a part of these groups. You already know how I feel and what I recommend. I recommend staying single, sweetheart, because it's so much easier and you have peace, you have tranquility, you make so much more progress, you have so much more energy, and you have joy. I'm not one for the ball and chain anymore. I was married 2.5. The 0.5 is I was engaged to a man he was living with me, pretty much. And I was with him for like 7-8 years. And then I've already been married. I have 2 children, and I already did that journey. No, thank you. No, never ever again. And I have so many men hitting me up on my Facebook in my DMs. Listen to me. There's not a week that passed that I don't have some dude while I'm trying. I take the bus, and I'm always really meeting some dude who's always trying to hit up on me, trying to get my. I don't give up my phone number. I give my Instagram, SheilaTruelove 007. Just check it out, SheilaTruelove 007 on my Instagram. And yeah, and I always wear wedding rings because you have a lot of men out here today who they can't handle rejection. So I'll smile and laugh, and then I'll just point to the wedding rings on my finger and I say, wow, you are a cutie, honey, but if I'm already spoken for, I'm married. I get them off of me because I remember one time I rejected a dude and he threw a bottle at me. I was like, what? Okay, lesson learned, I'm putting on a wedding ring. Because a lot of these men, they have issues. When you say, thank you, but I'm not interested, you're not going to be rude or anything. And then I have so many of them on my Facebook. They'll be like, I look at all your content, I do this, and they hit me up. And I sometimes I respond, most of them I'll block them because I'm so not interested. Because and some of them I will respond to, and I'll let them know right now I'm focusing on building a sisterhood. So I'm not really trying to be distracted. But I do appreciate, your compliment, and thank you so much. And I leave it at that. When I say I'm not interested, honey, I'm so focused. I have my career that I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about finding me another side hustle. I don't have time for this. But anyway, I hope you found this to be beneficial. And I'm sharing this with you because I want you to be safe. And I want you to, I want the best for you. Jehovah loves you, Jesus loves you, and so do I. Twinkle, twinkle, twinkle.